Welcome to today's dramatic video. Join us on a journey to hunt giant fish in the sea with brave anglers. Every throw, every thrilling tug of war brings unforgettable experiences. Get ready to immerse yourself in the world of professional fishermen and discover the secrets of the sea. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any exciting trips in the future. Let's get started. There's nothing quite like the intricacies of an old fishing rod. With years of experience etched on their faces, a big rod can teach you more about the game than a library of books, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Some teach by taking you out on the water, giggling as they help you hook, or they do it by patting you on the head and yelling, "Not like that, dummy." However, the most common way old anglers convey their deep understanding of fish is through sayings like, "A day's worth of fishing is better than a day's work," and "You never miss a fish." Perhaps the most famous of the many fishing platitudes we so unabashedly embrace, however, is, "Big fish shoot big bait." The concept of using big bait to catch big fish has been passed down through many fishing rod traditions, underpinning the economy of fishing. It's such an ingrained notion that we often construct the question as the two guys relaxing on Christmas Eve in Jaws, believing that the biggest entertainment possible will bring the biggest rewards. Even when we don't, we never doubt the validity of this approach. However, it often fails, and with so many anglers putting the theory into practice and so few consistently reaping rewards, you really have to ask yourself the question, do big fish really eat big? Why we believe fish eat big. The belief behind this saying is that as fish get bigger and a little more unconcerned, they start going for bigger prey. Just like how an offensive lineman needs to clean up an all-you-can-eat buffet to maintain their size and energy, larger fish need more calories to survive and thrive. It is this knowledge that has led many anglers, myself included, to throw as many casts as possible and throw him out in the hope of catching a monster. Of course, this often works, further reinforcing the big fish fishing mentality. Ice anglers have long known that using big bait is a surefire way to catch big game fish like bass and other large fish through the ice. Catfish enthusiasts looking to hook a fish often forego the usual catfish snacks and instead turn to big game and shooting when searching for a big fish. However, while many anglers subscribe to the big shot belief, few are as sure as they are about exactly why it works. This big fishing bias is most easily addressed in the world of trout fishing, where the river acts as a never-ending treadmill that produces fish that burn calories almost constantly. The smaller, younger fish eat a lot of insects to compensate for this and expend a lot of energy in the constant work of hunting the little fry. However, the older, larger salmon need more calories to maintain their health and energy, which is not possible with such small sponges, so they move and eat less often but eat more of those meals. While the younger salmon are almost constantly cruising the water in search of food, the larger fish choose to conserve energy and only work for short periods of time to hunt large prey such as mackerel, crayfish, leeches and fish. For the trophy salmon angler, this means putting away the small spears, worms and dried jigs and pulling out the big guns. If you really want to catch a big trout, you need to start throwing big casts like the owl, says Montana angler guide Willie Delwo. You're going to catch a lot less fish with those big owls, but the ones you do catch are usually the big ones. Those are the big fish, the trout you dream of. It's simply too much for them to waste their time and energy chasing the little ones. They need meat, they need to eat other trout, whitefish and rockfish, and you want to use those types of baits. If you're spinning, you need to use the biggest live baits, like sardines and other types of bait like jigs, big spinners and even smelt. Those are the big ones that will catch the big fish. Don't waste your time on anything else. While all of this reinforces the big fish eat bait theory, it's important to remember that this is just a small example. On fishing in general, if you rely solely on using large targets to catch fish, you will spend long days on the water without question. Because there are so many species of fish, and at different times and places, big fish prefer to eat smaller meals, creating many exceptions to the belief about big size and big fish. While big fish and big targets is a possibility, there are actually many fish out there that live on much smaller meals. The best example of this is the oarfish, which can grow to over 100 pounds, but is a filter feeder. Swimming in the water with their mouths open, oarfish eat almost nothing but plankton. The giant carp is another great example of a small eating fish. Growing to over 50 pounds in most places they live, the carp lives on a variety of small foods including small aquatic plants and seeds, insects, and fish eggs. Because both of these fish are so large and their diets are so small, anglers who catch them often have to use unconventional fishing methods such as trolling and bow fishing to catch them. In addition to the small game fish that live on small meals, there are other times of the year and some species of fishing conditions for the more popular game fish that we often associate with the theory of luring big game to smaller pointers. While it may vary from region to region and species to species, there are many times when using a large target to catch these fish will not be effective short in cold and warm water. Cold air currents and the sudden drop in water temperature that comes with them often make for slow work with very little hanging out. When this happens, large fish such as perch, tilapia, salmon and especially steelhead trout will ignore the more active shot, lure and quail that have been active all season and will instead attack the smallest available food. These smaller game are easier to find and catch than larger game and will feed the fish when their metabolism is at its slowest. In fact, there are plenty of bodies of water that remain cold for much of the year, as limited as Nevada's Pyramid Lake, that produce big fish that live on very small diets. Pyramids can be distracting as an angler, says avid Pyramid Lake angler James Miguele. I mean, we're talking about Lahontan cutthroat, one of the biggest trout in the country. You'd think they'd eat those meals as much as rockfish and even each other. But in those cold waters, they're subjected to eating a lot of small things like chironomids and snook. It's amazing to think that fish can grow that big on such small meals, but all of my biggest fish have been on the smallest hooks when I fish. There in the winter. Warm water has a similar effect, especially on aggressive fish like pike and grouper. Large pike and especially groupers are known for eating game that is half their body length. This means that these fish can hunt and eat large prey, including salmon, walleye and bass, and even turtles, ducks and muskrats. This large meal allows the big fish to eat only once or twice a day, so pearl anglers only target them with the biggest tackle and hooks in the hope of getting lucky. However, many anglers are now realizing that it is not always necessary to use the biggest tackle possible when hunting pike and grouper, especially in the summer. I know that in the summer, big pike and muskie will eat a big meal once or twice a week and then they'll eat smaller prey while that big prey is digesting, Minnesota fishing guide Will Nura told MeatEater. There are times when throwing a big fish to catch pike and muskie will work and there are times when there's no better way. Time of year is key for big baits, starting with the first cold snap in August. Any time after that is big bait time, Nura told MeatEater. But most of the summer when the water is warm, you can relax the smaller stuff and probably catch more fish. I'll throw smaller tailfins, smaller doubles, etc., and focus on speed over size. Often, it's a decision to use a smaller, faster-moving target because a larger target is slow-moving at that time of year. So while big shots can certainly catch fish, this old adage is too vague to give any really sound advice. I'd say that while big shots are true, they're not a great solution for catching big fish, Nura said. A lot of people fish in the fall and will definitely catch fish, but that's not what I recommend when it's hot. It won't give you the returns you want. Most people put their boats away for the winter, and fishing is a hobby for many outdoor enthusiasts, and the ultimate goal of anglers around the world is to catch a big fish. The definition of a big fish varies from angler to angler, but most agree that it is a large, mature, rare fish that requires persistence, patience and skill. In this blog post, we will discuss what is considered a big fish or sport fish, popular fish species to catch, and how to catch a big fish. We will provide some tips and tricks to help you increase your chances of catching a big fish and make your next fishing trip a success. Each angler may have their own definition of what is considered a prize fish or big fish based on their personal preferences. Generally, a prize fish is referred to as a large, mature fish that is considered a prize because of its size, beauty, or rarity. In sport fishing, a prize fish is generally considered to be a fish that exceeds a certain size limit, such as a 40-inch muskie or a 30-inch salmon. In some cases, a prize fish may be a particularly difficult fish to catch, such as a sailfish or marlin. On the other hand, a big fish is usually a saltwater fish prized for its size, strength, and fighting ability, such as tuna, swordfish, and shark. Ultimately, what is considered a prize fish or a big fish will depend on the individual angler's goals, experience, and location. In some cases, it may simply be the largest fish they have ever caught, regardless of size or species. Anglers often target many large fish species for a variety of reasons, such as sporting or food value, rarity, or personal preference. Some species are prized for their meat, making them popular targets for commercial and recreational anglers. Other fish are sought after by sport fishermen for their fighting ability and the challenge of catching them. However, other fish are sought after by freshwater anglers for their beauty, versatility, and fighting ability. Ultimately, the specific species sought can vary greatly depending on location, personal preference, and the angler's level of experience. Here are some of the most popular large fish sought by anglers. Tuna are prized by sport fishermen for their speed, strength, and endurance. They are also a highly prized food fish, making them a popular target for both commercial and recreational anglers. Marlin are known for their fighting spirit and ability to run long, powerful distances, making them a popular large predatory fish. They are also prized for their meat and are considered a delicacy in many parts of the world. The goal of many anglers is to catch big fish, and for good reason. There is nothing more satisfying than catching a big fish. However, catching a big fish requires more than just luck. It also requires patience, persistence, and proper technique. Here are some tips to help you. You catch a big fish. Proper technique is crucial when it comes to catching big fish. You will need a heavy-duty rod and reel that can handle the weight and power of a big fish. Look for rods with a fast action, a strong backbone, and a rod tip. Downgrade, and use a high-quality reel with a strong drag system and good retrieval rates. Make sure you also have the right line, tackle, and lure. Simply choosing the right line, tackle, or lure to catch big, trophy fish depends on a number of factors such as the species of fish, the fishing environment, and the angler's personal preferences. In general, for larger fish, anglers may want to use thicker, stronger lines, larger tackle styles, and more sturdy tackle. However, the types of tackle chosen will likely vary depending on the situation. For example, if fishing in clear water, a more subtle, natural tackle style may be effective, while in murky water, a brighter, more attention-grabbing tackle style may be better. Additionally, some fish have unique feeding behaviors. Question the type of fishing or lure you are targeting. Before you set your line, it is important to have a good understanding of the fish you are targeting. This includes understanding their feeding habits, migration patterns, and the type of habitat they prefer. Researching ahead can help you determine the best time of day to fish and the best location to set your line. Every